morning. I'm Susan Ferguson. I've been at Eaton for about 5 years. In fact, 5 years ago this week, I gave notice to my job and decided to retire. So that decision came after several years of falling. I fell 8 times the year that I decided to retire. It was clear to me that I was going to have to retire pretty soon. And the big question was, where do I go? The rent on my apartment had doubled in the years that I'd been there. Retirement income would not be able to do that at all. And so a couple of years before that decision, I began looking, and I contacted the Lakewood Social Services and asked them, what do older women do to afford an apartment? What are my options? And I began that exploration. I learned about affordable housing for seniors, where they were, what kind of services were offered, what it would cost, what the waiting list was. So I was on the waiting list for 2 years, and Eaton came up once and I wasn't ready. And when it came up the second time, I had fallen twice that week at work, and it was pretty clear to me that this would be a good time to move. So in January, I moved, and I'm so glad I did, because this is a nice 1-bedroom apartment. It's affordable. I can stay here. I don't have to worry about my income being overcome by the housing market. It means that I've got stability that I really hadn't had in the last several years that I worked. So when the rent is stable, other options become available. Things that I've been putting off: healthcare, car repairs, new shoes, going to see my sons who are out of state. Things that just were impossible, either because I couldn't afford it or because I couldn't get the time off work to do any of those things. And so once I got here, I got over the shock of I used to be somebody. I had a job and did things. And then there was this dithering around of, who am I when I'm not working? What do I do now? I began to explore options and things like, although I lived alone, I had neighbors. I had closer neighbors than I'd had in years. I live alone. I like living alone, but I like having people to talk to. I like having the opportunity to make friends. That's very much encouraged here. And there are activities to be sure that we do see one another. There are meals here. We have our dining room that gives us an opportunity to share coffee and conversation. There are different events where we go out to things, and COVID shut that down for a while, but then we did things inside. We all learned how to Zoom. So I Zoomed off to art classes and archaeology lectures and programs at the Denver Art Museum without ever leaving my apartment, and could share that kind of information with friends because we started our own Facebook group. And you can connect with people all sorts of ways, along with seeing them. You can see them on Zoom. You can do things together on Zoom. I took up painting. I was going to classes at Lakewood Recreation, but COVID shut that down, so I learned how to Zoom art classes. It was a little awkward for everybody at first, but we got used to it. So 3 years down the road, I paint and draw and regularly and exhibit in local galleries, and that's great fun. It's something I did in my younger days, but now I can do again, and what a treat. We have music programs. We have a choir practicing for Christmas. We've got pets everywhere. There are dogs and cats, and I think there's still a rabbit on the upstairs somewhere. And that's nice. People who don't have a pet enjoy seeing ours, and that's sharing a little bit of joy, which is great. We have programs that assist people with things that they can't quite do themselves. Access to additional health care options, or getting a walker when they need one. Dental care, which is increasingly expensive. So donations to Eaton assist with all of those things. with community, with medical care, with socialization options, and I'm so glad I moved here. And thanks to all the staff, and thank you for contributing.